For today's mobility work, we're going to spend some time in different domains. Okay, we're going to work on our squatting ability for a period of time, our wrist strength for a period of time, shoulder mobility. It's going to be a great session. Join me in a resting squat position, and we're going to be here for about 3 to 5 minutes, okay? And so if the resting squat is challenging for you, stand up, take breaks, do whatever you need to do. I'll be down here the whole time. I got my trusty mat here as we're going to be on our knees a lot today, so you might want to make sure you have comfortable flooring. But enough of the introductory work, let's get going here. Let's bring your hands together, okay? It can be 2 palms, it can be a palm and a fist, or it can be 2 fists. And keeping your feet rooted where they are. I don't want the feet to slide or turn. They're exactly where they are. You're going to push outwards on your knees using your elbows. Okay? And as we continue here, getting about 10 reps, you could do a fist and a palm, which just lengthens your forearms a little bit, right? So that the push would be a little bit of a bigger stretch potentially. You can pull the elbows higher up into your knees like so. And be gentle as you release. You're creating a little bit of a stretch and then releasing gently. Feet are stationary. They're not going to slide. They're not going to pivot. Okay, if your heels are coming off the floor, take a little break and then rejoin us back down. Let's do 2 more. Nice easy push. 1 more. Good. Okay, next one, we're going to do an overhead reach, 1 arm at a time, and then we're going to alternate. Other hand, let's put it on the ground for now or anywhere you want to. The working arm, we're going to take the arm and reach overhead as high as we can, okay? As straight of an elbow as you can. If it's helpful, think about showing me your palm right now, okay? As best you can. But don't just cheat to the wrist, okay? That would be easy. Try and bring your elbow close to your bicep and then overhead, reaching fingertips to ceiling as you show me your palm. A couple more per side. One more per side. These are obviously not easy. Well, maybe for some of you, not for me. Good. And last thing we'll do in the squat, again, take some breaks if your ankles are feeling it or other. Let's do some sky reaches, pretty standard, pretty classic. Gonna put that arm down here in kind of a wedge. Other arm's gonna rotate and reach up to the ceiling. Okay, we're gonna alternate each rep. And really focus on being slow and controlled, okay? Like the first movement, the knee push. Release the movement with as much control or fluidity as you are using to enter/access the movement. And we are going to do a whole lot of repetitions, 2 more per side, okay? Hips are going to feel fantastic when we're done. Spine. Getting some shoulder too, which is great. Lots of ankle work. Last one per side. Good. Now, I don't want you to rush out if you've held that the whole time or if you needed some breaks. Okay? Come on out delicately. And I'm going to get my little mat here for my knees. Because I'm becoming an old man, I need something for my knees. And now let's spend some time doing a bunch of wrist work, okay? Similar to the squat, we're gonna be here for several minutes. So go slower than me if you need to, take breaks, whatever you gotta do. Let's start off with some classic stretches with our fingertips in different directions. And let's begin with our fingertips outwards, okay? Walk your hands narrow so they're kind of like this, about 4 or 6 inches apart. If that's a little bit uncomfortable on your hands, you can always go a little bit wider, okay? And if you want to, a slight lean side to side can be nice. Now, keeping your hands still about 4 or 6 inches apart from one another, let's turn the hands forwards. So a narrow stance, okay? I'm just gonna have you lift your hands and walk to a wider position, about a shoulder width position. A few moments there, should feel a little bit easier. And then walk the hands inwards again to that narrow position that we were at. Okay, again, walk the hands out, take off the pressure, lay it back down. Let's go wider than your hands. And now, taking your shoulders, I want you to lean your shoulders forwards over your wrists. Okay, feel a little bit of extra pressure. It shouldn't be uncomfortable. Relax the pressure, walk the hands in. Good. Quick shake. Now do your best to turn your hands backwards facing your body. Okay, it doesn't need to be as extreme as me. And a couple seconds here. If this is a little bit hard on the elbows or on the wrists or shoulders, just ease off the pressure a little bit like so. Okay, same thing. Just spending a few moments here. You can impromptu move around a bit like I'm doing. You can just be stationary. All are good. Now, last one. Let's finish off on the back of our hands on the floor. If this is tough, do one at a time with a fist or fingertip support and then switch sides. I'll be doing both hands at the same time. Okay, looks like this. If this is tough, you can do this, you can do this. You don't need to press all the way down, okay, with this hand. You don't want to. If you're able to, you're there. If you're able to, you're here with me like this. And not too much movement, just hanging out. Hope the wrists are feeling really nice. Elbows too, right? There's a lot of elbow stuff and shoulder stuff. And the last thing we'll do here, I'll turn to face you straight on. Last thing before we move to some strengthening work is let's do some floor fixed elbow rotations. So index fingers facing completely straight forwards or slightly turned out. Elbows roll in and rotate out. Okay, a couple gentle times. Don't rush to the end range. Move with control. Just two more. Good. Okay. Now for the next thing, I recommend you pause the video if you need to and move to some carpet or something that is just nice flooring. Something hard like this is doable, but you usually have to be a lot more acclimated to the movement. We're gonna do a reverse wrist push-up. So I have my spotting hand right here. And with my other hand, I got a fist. I'm slowly gonna roll the fist like so. I'm gonna gently open it up as I lay the back of the hand on the floor. I'm gonna roll it back up a little bit quicker. So I'm using some control, open the hand, roll it back up a little bit quicker. A couple more times. Roll, 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 pull it back up. Let's do 3 more. Okay, and we don't wanna overly force this, so the way down, the eccentric is just smooth. 1 more. Good. Other hand can spot like this, whatever's comfortable for you. Okay, try and keep that fist closed as long as I can. And then once the back of the wrist really touches the floor, I open up the hand. Okay, if you're opening right away like this, try and slow it down and get to a point where you can open up a little bit longer later in the movement. 1 more. Good. Okay, fantastic. One last thing here. I'm gonna have you guys put an arm out forwards like me. We've done a wrist stretch before like so. Today what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the fingers and pull backwards like this. Now we should be feeling an opening side stretch somewhere through here. We shouldn't be feeling pinching on the back of the wrists. Okay, and just a gentle level stretch as you pull those fingers backwards. It does not need to be intense. We're gonna hold for 10 more seconds and then we'll switch sides. And then we're gonna move to some knee work, some much needed knee work, which can be tricky to do, tricky to teach, but we're gonna do some stuff there anyways. Other side, about 10-15 seconds. Just finding that nice, pleasant stretch on the underside of the arm here. Nothing crazy. Good. Okay, take a seat on your butt, finally. The people are saying, been in that squat for 5 minutes on the knees as we're doing some wrist work. Now let's do a seated position. Put your one leg, heel out in front of you, a comfortable amount like so. And now looking at your shin, okay, if you were to have a tattoo of an X on your shin, I want you to try and turn that X outwards, okay, so it's turning this way. Now take that X and try and turn it inwards. There might not be as much range of motion there. Note that my upper leg, okay, from my knee up has been still. So as I externally rotate at my knee, that X has turned outwards. And as I internally rotate, the X is softly turning inwards, okay? Try that a couple more times for just practice. So outward turn with the knee, inward. If you have very little movement here, this is something you should work on, okay? The knee is not your hip, it's not your shoulder where it's got tons of range of motion, but it should have some rotation capacity. Good. Now what I want you to do, take an arm, put it underneath your hamstring. You can kind of bring your hands together like so. You're not going to be able to see as much, so this might be a little bit more difficult, but I want you to set that knee outwards like so, so external rotation. And I want you to open up the knee, extending it, and pulling it back into flexion, maintaining that outward shift the whole time. Okay? You will not be able to extend the knee fully. Okay, that's okay. Because if you extend the knee fully, that shifting will become neutral. So just a little bit out. Okay, you might feel a little bit of a burn. You might feel some working around the outer shin or inner shin more than you normally would. Other side. Okay, a couple practice reps to see how the knee works. Or I shouldn't say how it works, how it's moving, how well it's moving. Okay, and think about that X analogy, tattoo, or whatever helps you think about turning the face of this tibia, your shin bone, your main shin bone, outward and inwards. We should see some movement. We also should not see movement like so, okay? Or just moving at the ankle. That's not helpful. I need to see this moving, okay? Let's add our loaded position like so, like so, like so. Anything there is fine. Turn that knee outwards, hold it, and then extend it about 80%. Couple times. And you should be feeling some working here, again, around the shin to hold that outward turn. A very different maneuver, very subtle, not something I do a lot with people, because it can take obviously a little bit of practice, but this is something I advise you work on if you're having a hard time feeling or seeing movement in your knee. Because if my knee lacks some rotation, the rotation is going to have to be found somewhere else, or when I'm running or when I'm squatting or something. And that's not always the best. Okay, moving on. Let's do the spine. And let's set up into a half lunge position. I have my right knee down, okay? Whatever works for you with your setup. And we're gonna work first on some spine rotation side to side. Now we need to be set up in a little bit of a rounded position for this to be good. So watch me closely. I'm gonna X my hands, gonna cross my body. I'm gonna round my upper back, okay? Nothing excessive, but just a little bit. And then I'm going to work on turning my shoulders to the left and to the right, back and forth. We'll do 3 or 4 repetitions. So not tall, a little bit rounded. Try and turn your shoulders over your forward lunge leg. Return to center. And now try and turn your shoulders out over your exposed hip. Back and forth here. Okay. Hips are mostly still so that you're rotating your spine. One more. Good. Now let's do about 3 more with the other leg up because there is a difference when you turn to one side with that one hip up, okay? Cross the arms, around the spine, rotate, gentle. So see how much you can rotate before you really feel like you want to use something else to help. Just rely on the rotation of your spine. Try and keep the hips still. Okay, be set and guarded in your position. One more. Good. Now for the next one, we're just going to do some simple spine extension, and we're going to do this once with one leg forward. So pick whatever leg you want forward, it doesn't matter to me. Now we're going to work on extending the spine. We're in this half kneeling position so that it will help keep our hips centered, because if your hips shoot forwards, you might get a lot in the low back, which isn't bad if you're prepared for it, but if you don't do a lot of spine mobility, we definitely want to make this a little bit more protected, a little bit more gentle. Watch me for the first rep here, okay? I'm going to cross my arms again. I'm going to lead with my head, and then you're going to see this arching occur from my chest up, ideally first, and then my mid-back, and then my lower back last. Okay, if it's a little bit too much for you, in the half lunge you can always stand up and perform this, but let's try and get about 4 or 5 reps back and forth of extending your spine, your whole spine, working head down, back and forth. We'll do one more. Good. Now that we've done some of these fancy half kneeling postures, let's finish off the spine and shortly move to the shoulders. just with some cat-cows, just to kind of work everything out. It's nice before your cat-cows to do some of these isolated spine positions, because then you might find that you can actually tap into your regular spine mobility a little bit more. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, probably for the 800th millionth time if you've done these with me. Round your spine, tuck your chin right to your chest. So we're flexing the spine, rounding the tailbone, holding that for a couple moments. And then, it doesn't matter to me how you get there today, I want you to extend your spine fully, elbows are straight. And just one more rep through flexion. And one more rep through your extension. Good. Very nice. Now for our next exercise, I'm going to be kneeling, but you can be standing, okay, you can be seated. There's a lot of ways to do it, but just to kind of change up how we do the movement, I like this kneeling position. We're going to do a 2-arm shoulder rotation, okay, sometimes I refer to these as shoulder cars. I like the kneeling position here because it's going to help me be guarded, and it's going to minimize the ability I can use my spine or my hips to contribute to what I'm going to work with my shoulders. So it's going to help me amplify and highlight how well my shoulders are doing or how poorly they're doing, okay? So put your hands by your sides, and you can make fists if your fingers are touching the floor. Bring your arms overhead slowly, okay? Try and match my pace. And bring them as high overhead, trying to reach your knuckles towards the ceiling without using hips or shoulders to help. Nice. Then you're slowly going to pull the arms backwards and behind you. Think about reaching your knuckles this way. So pulling your knuckles behind you. You should feel a little something between your shoulder blades. Now you're going to start to drop your your arms in height, and you're going to turn the arms so that the palms are starting to face backwards behind you. Okay, bring them as close together now as you can. This would be far away. This would be close together. We're going to do 2 more rotations in that manner. Arms come up, elbows are straight as much as you can. Hold the top position for a moment. Arms come outwards, knuckles are reaching backwards, trying to pull your hands together behind your body. Okay, lower the arms first if you need to, otherwise turn the thumbs down and in, so the palms are facing behind you, and then eventually they're facing the ceiling right now, right? Not facing down, they're facing the ceiling. One more, elbows are straight. Firm fists if you want to make it a little bit tougher, really squeeze your fists, okay? Reaching overhead, reaching outwards, pull knuckles backwards behind. They're not to the side, they're pulling backwards here. Lower the arms first if you need to, otherwise turn the thumbs down and in. Pull the arms close to one another behind your body and down. Okay, that's a lot of hard work. Let's work reverse now. So, got my fists, I'm gonna have my palms facing backwards, okay? I'm gonna lift the arms behind my body through what we call shoulder extension. I'm gonna rotate, pull the arms overhead, and just reversing what we did before. Arms come down with equal control. Hands come behind the body, palms are facing the ceiling as best you can. Rotate, pull on up. One more, arms come down with control. Palms face behind the body. Rotate, what we call externally rotating. Palms are facing forwards, but you got your fist still. Reach overhead, straight elbows. Come on down. Okay, we're going into scapular push-up next. We're gonna do a 2 reps of a 10-second pause in each position. The 2 positions are pulled back, retracted, shoulder blades pinched together, and then protracted, rounded shoulder blades. We're gonna hold 10 seconds per position, 2 rounds. You might get some burn going on, it's fine. And then we're gonna do 10 reps quickly, up and down. We're using those first 2 repetitions of the big pause, 10-second pause, 10-second pause, to really feel what it means to be rounded with your back, or sorry, with your shoulders, and to be pulled backwards together, retracted. Okay, accessing it, and then we'll do reps in and out. If that was a lot of verbiage, didn't really make much sense, that's okay, we're going at it now. So go a little bit wider with your hands here. I find it helpful for most people. Allow your shoulder blades to collapse together, okay, and hold them there for about 10 seconds. I don't want them hiked up towards your ears like this, okay? I want your shoulders pulled down as you are retracted. If there's a pencil, okay, along your spine, you should be able to squeeze that pencil right now with your shoulder blades. Coming on up, you're gonna spread the shoulder blades and get to this rounded upper back position we call protraction of the shoulder blades. Hold that, elbows are straight. And again, you're not shrugging up to your ears with your shoulders. So keep some distance between your ears and your shoulders. 3, 2, 1. Start to retract, slow and controlled. Hit your full retraction position and hang out there. Elbows are straight, shoulders are down. Pinch that pencil between your shoulder blades. It's resting on your spine. And now pushing up, protracting, rounding the upper back, pushing yourself away from the floor. This, if you look up, is not pushing. That is pushing away from the floor. Good. Quick little break for the wrists if you need it, maybe for the shoulder blades too, because that's a lot of time under tension. And now I want us to do 10 reps up and down, feeling that change in position with good control. And then we're gonna finish off with a little neck stretch. So hands again, a little bit wider, softly turned out. Elbows are straight. You're gonna retract the shoulder blades. It should feel super accessible now and very easy. Up and down, 8 more times. Just try and match my tempo. It's not slow, but it's definitely not rushed. Got 3 more, I think. Last one. Fantastic. Shoulders will feel fantastic, I hope, after all those rotations we did and shoulder blade mobility. Okay, last thing we're gonna do here together, okay, is just simply taking our head, looking as far behind in one direction as we can, blind spot check. We do these all the time in tons of variations. There's probably a reason why I choose to do that, so if you're a little bit fed up with them, deal with it. I'm gonna set my hands here on my knees, not to produce tons of tension and like strength, but just as a cue that I'm not lifting my shoulders or turning my spine as I look over my shoulder with my neck mobility, okay? So that's why I got my hands here as little cues. Begin to look over one shoulder, keep the crown of the head high. When you get to your end range, give yourself an inhale, a deep exhale, and then push for a little bit more. Okay, inhale forwards, exhale to the side, inhale again, exhale and try and get a little bit more out. And by out, I mean a little bit more out of the stretch. Exhale to the side, looking over the shoulder, head and spine are tall. Do not round to the low back here. Try and be engaged and focused. Exhale, get a little bit more looking. Back to the front. Exhale, one more, inhale. Exhale, looking further over that blind spot. And the last one per side. Hands are on the knees to help cue the shoulders. They shouldn't be contributing, they should be doing nothing. Other side. Very nice. Thanks for joining me today. I will see you next time in our human movement.